So, hi, my name is Katie Netter, producer for Small Business Digest, and I am here with Maurice Contrearus. So, Maurice, as we ask all our guests on the show, what is your personal background, and can you tell us more about your company and website?
Yeah, hi, Katie. Hey, thank you for having me on the show. I appreciate the opportunity. Um, uh, my background is in marketing. I had a career in corporate marketing for several years. I was in the wireless industry. Um, I actually fine-tuned my marketing skills at Blockbuster Video, Blockbuster Entertainment, if you all remember the chain of stores back then. And then I moved into wireless marketing. So I've been doing that for all of my career. Principally, I worked for AT&T, with AT&T. I worked with Verizon, and then I also worked with a small startup company back in the late 90s. I joined an outfit called TracFone Wireless, which was the nation's largest prepaid wireless company. And when I joined them, it was just a little small company, and I grew them to over $1 billion. And they recently, last year, they got sold to Verizon Wireless for, I think, like $7 billion, something like that. But anyways, when I was with TracFone, I kind of realized that I had some skills in corporate marketing and brand marketing and advertising. So I got the itch, and I decided to just create a business on the side. And that's how I stumbled upon TracFone Wireless. I actually developed the brand from scratch, started importing copies from Costa Rica, Jamaica, and Hawaii. And this was a side hustle that I did for several years, and it was purposely built like that. It was something. It was kind of was a hobby, to be honest with you, in the beginning. Um, and then I just, part of the business plan was just to work nights and weekends. Do a little bit at a time. Just work on a web page or work on PR or work on whatever it is day to day, and it all just added up and just started growing. And after 4 years, it became so big that we couldn't ship coffee out of the garage of our house any longer, and so we moved it to a co-packer who shipped products for us for several years. And then several years ago, we decided to bring everything in-house, and we opened up our own roastery just outside of Atlanta, Georgia. And now we have about 20 employees, and we're booming. So it's been a fun ride.
Well, it's really interesting. I'm hearing from your previous experiences and going into founding your own company. So, why did you decide to found this company, and what did you see missing in the business environment that inspired you to take this action?
Well, uh, I ended up on coffee. One, because I'm actually from Costa Rica, and Costa Rica has great coffee, and I would take annual vacations with my family. And on one of those vacations, we toured a coffee farm, and just kind of dawned on me how great the coffee was in Costa Rica, and how bland and awful coffee was in the United States. And this was, think about it, this was in 2004. This is when Starbucks was just starting to roll out their stores, and starting to develop that specialty coffee phase. So I ended up on coffee, and surprisingly, it was funny. After I launched the company, my mother explained to me how she would pick beans out in the fields, and her father, which was my grandfather, would supervise the harvest of the beans back generations ago. So it was kind of cool. So the coffee was actually already in my blood. I just didn't know that.
Mhm.
Um, so
Nice.
did I answer all of your questions?
What?
Did I miss a question that you may have asked
I
me?
know that's perfect. But I'd love to hear more a little bit about how did you leverage your prior experiences to found your own small business, would you say? How did you leverage your prior experiences?
Yeah, so I had experience, and I had accolades, I had accomplishments, that I knew that I could fall back on, and just decided to build a brand from scratch. Since I did that, I built a national brand in the wireless business, TracFone Wireless, and just wanted to focus that. I mean, I attacked everything in all the little different segments, from packaging to product to quality to marketing to website design. Back in those days, there was no easy way. I actually had to learn how to code HTML, and I built a website from scratch. And I did that just by borrowing books from the library because I was on a tight budget. So as you can imagine, but just you really have to silo all those different disciplines of building a business and just focus on them. Packaging, what is on the front of the package, what's on the side, what's on the back, printing. It's really complex and very broad, but if you break it down into little pieces, you just accomplish it little at a time, and it all comes together. And that's what ended up happening with Volcanica Coffee.
Nice. So what kind of challenges would you say did you face? I mean, changing industries and adapting to the coffee industry, going from more of the tech side.
So more several challenges. One of the big ones was as being a new brand on the marketplace, or actually in the coffee space. How do you get in front of customers? And it really was just learning SEO, search engine optimization, just learning how do you build a website that people are going to find, and find easily. So that was a big challenge. And then every few months, Google would change their algorithms, and then you kind of have to adjust to the changes, and adapt to that, and you have to stay on top of the industry. Really do. And now in the coffee world, a lot of it has to do with just coming back to having an outstanding product. That's something that I learned in my corporate life. If you have a great product, customers are going to come. They're going to find you. And one of the things that really stuck with me back in the early 2000s, mid 2000s, Starbucks was building their chain of stores, and at that time they'd never advertised. And I just found that to be astonishing, that they didn't advertise, and they didn't need to, because they had good stores, good product, and that's one of the things that we fell back on, is just having good products and wowing your customers.
Mhm. So our audience are small business owners. So what else, like, were there any other challenges more specific to just founding your own small business that you faced throughout your process of founding Volcanica Coffee?
Yeah. So one of the big challenges is learning the concept called cost of acquisition. What does it cost to acquire a customer? And we started advertising on Google AdWords, which is now called Google Advertising, back in the early days, and it was real easy. Hey, you could advertise and advertise and advertise, but if you're not getting enough sales to pay for that advertising, you're going negative. So it was it's a balance. It really that was a real important fact that we had to balance with, because we didn't have an unlimited budget. We had a very tiny budget, so it was just advertising just a little bit, just to get enough customers so that you can pay your bills, so that you can go to the next month to do the same thing, and then just eventually get it into a snowball, so the company can help sustain itself.
Mhm. So what advice would you offer then to small business owners who are going through similar challenges that you went through throughout your process of founding a business?
Um, uh, a couple of different things. One of them is make sure you're doing something that you love, something that you enjoy. Because if you don't enjoy it, you're not going to be really good at it. it's really important that you do something. I liked coffee back then. I didn't. As I learned more about coffee, I learned that I loved coffee. So I made myself love the product. I really did. And so that's one of the things. The other thing is be patient. Success does not come overnight. It really comes from doing a doing hard work, being smart, being knowledgeable, being on top of trends, and just sticking with it, and just trying not to get frustrated, and just little by little, as you're building your business, little by little, it's like compound interest. It adds on top of each other. So that's one of the things that I would do, and then that I would advise. One of the other things I'd mention is that, hey, I had a really good corporate job. I mean, I had a really good income. I can tell you that, and I enjoyed what I was doing. It wasn't something that I wanted to leave, but the whole business plan was, hey, start this little coffee business and see where it goes. Maybe I sell it to somebody and get some extra pocket cash or something, or or just keep growing it. What I ended up doing, I actually, there was a point where I actually was talking with people about selling it. It wasn't the best move. And now today, I have my whole family working here. My son, my daughter. My daughter's the director of operations. Our son's the director of coffee. He does all our sourcing. My wife is our director of sales and helps manage our fulfillment production. So now it's kind of cool. Now I have a place of employment for my family. So it's it really is paid off. It is satisfying. It is hard. But back to the whole day job thing. Don't quit your day job until you're ready to step off. And also have time for yourself. Don't be all consumed about work. You need to carve out time for your family and your vacations, and just trying to live a normal life and not just be all consumed, because you have to have balance in your life. Otherwise, it's something's not going to be working right.
That's really interesting. So can you talk about where our audience can find your product, and how did you get your product into stores?
Yeah, so we are only in a few coffee shops. Grocery has not been a big focus of ours. So you can find our coffees on our website at volcanicacoffee.com. That's spelled VOLCANICACOFFEE.com. It's volcanic, but with an A, volcanicacoffee.com. We're also available on Amazon. We are actually one of the top 20 coffee sellers on Amazon. So that's been a big business for us. So two choices. Customer wants to go to Amazon, or they have convenience. They can find our coffee there, or they can go directly to our website.
Do you have a sample package with you by any chance, or of the coffee?
A sample of the package? Yes, I do. This is typically what it is. This is let me try to do. That's a Guatemala Huehue Tenango. That's how it's pronounced. It's a really long Indian name. It's pretty cool. And this is this is 1 pound package. You go into a grocery store, most of the coffee packages there are 12 ounce. They also don't have the roast date, which means it could have been roasted a year ago. You have no idea. All of our packages have the roast date on it. We don't ship anything unless it's recently roasted. And in fact, we run a very tight inventory here, and we only ship freshly roasted coffee.
Oh, nice. So I know you mentioned that your product is sold in only really coffee shops. So can you talk about the process of getting them into those stores, instead of going more of the grocery store route?
Yeah, so that really is door to door, knocking on doors, making phone calls, emails. It's a hand-to-hand combat, door to door, to get those accounts. And part of it is just staying on top of the news of what restaurants are opening or what coffee shops are opening, good opportunities to get into. It's really tough. It really is. And It's a small part of our business, but it is a growing part of our business, because we are actually in the process of building out our wholesale division to be uh, a much bigger part of our business. We're primarily a direct to consumer business. We do have a couple marquee accounts, like for example, here in the Atlanta area, the top resort and winery is called Chateau Alon. Really beautiful hotel in north of Atlanta, and we are their official coffee provider. So really excited about that, and that's fairly recent, a few months, and then we're looking to leverage that as a marquee account to get other accounts, and we have been doing that. The barrels that you see behind us are from Jamaica. One thing I didn't mention a whole lot about is that we are one of the biggest sellers of Jamaica Blue Mountain coffee in the United States. We have a very close relationship with the farms, the top farm in Jamaica, and we are certified by the Jamaica government to sell Jamaican Blue Mountain coffee. And this is typically how the barrels come in. They come in, these are handmade barrels. You see it says printed Jamaica Blue Mountain coffee. Clydesdale is this farm. They have excellent coffee.
Wow, that's really cool. So can you talk a little bit about maybe like your day to day as running your coffee company? What does your day to day look like?
Yeah. So typically coming in the morning, I'm usually the first one here at our roastery, opening up the doors and sit down, and then I just look back at sales from the previous day. Look at just one of the things that in the online business is occasionally you get fraud, and when fraud comes, it comes big. So just making sure that we have legitimate transactions, review that. Also, I'll tackle some customer questions, or maybe some customer issues that came in, because we're really big about getting back to customers and addressing any concerns. Then basically going outside into our roastery and making sure everything's in order, everything's in safe, and then welcoming our team as they start to come in the morning. And we have supervisors and teams out there that manage a lot of that, so I don't have to get into the day-to-day of that. And then after doing the walkthroughs and the welcomings of the employees, then it's back to my office, and then just sitting down and tackling a project that's on my to-do list, whether it's reviewing a press release, or like for example, this morning I reviewed an agreement with HelloFresh. It's a partner that we're going to be working with, and just knocking out whatever's on the agenda.
Nice. So, what would you say have you seen as what do you believe is the most important factor in founding a small business? And like, what have you seen in your experience that has made your company successful that you believe has been the most important factor?
You have to be ready to do everything. You have to have the understanding is, hey, this isn't like some banker's job where you sit back in a chair and just start pointing. You do everything at the beginning. You really do. Everything from flushing a toilet, it gets backed up, to taking out the garbage if it needs to. You can't be, above all that, because if you are above that, then being a small business owner isn't for you. And then as you grow, it's being able to segment out or outsource those jobs. For example, I'll give you an example, like affiliate marketing. That was something that I knew was important in our business, that we had to do affiliate marketing. And I went out, bought a book, read about it, and it was like all interested. And then after I realized that I couldn't do it, that it required a new skill set. So I hired an affiliate marketing team. They happen to be in Eastern Europe, and they do a great job. But my point here is just basically figure out the different areas of the business that you can't manage or shouldn't be managing, and find the right teams, whether it's a virtual assistant or somebody virtually that can work with you. I think that can help grow your business and take you to the next level without getting overwhelmed by the day-to-day projects that you have to work on.
So going off of that, is there anything, if you could go back, is there anything you say like you think that you would do differently going forward in your um, business experience?
Um, well, you can always reflect back and say, "Hey, I should have done this," but I also look at them as in learnings. Like for example, I'll give you an example. We got into the Nespresso capsule business. The little convenient coffee pods. We thought that was going to be a good business for us to get into. Unfortunately, it was a large investment to get into the business. And it just didn't turn out to be the big thing that we thought it was going to be. People are buying it, but one of the things that we realized is that the Nespresso brand is so strong that they dominate that category, and it's really tough to compete. I mean, that's one thing that I would have said, hey, you know what? Shouldn't have done that. Shouldn't have gotten in that business, but we really didn't know in retrospect. You really don't know until you actually dive into it. So lesson learned, just to be a little bit, just a little bit more, I guess, cautious, when you get into new areas of growth.
hmm So again, going off of that, what advice do you have for small business owners to make their businesses successful, would you say?
Um, One of the things I'd say, be careful that you don't bite off more than you can chew. Um, it's real easy that all of a sudden that you have so much going on, so much activities, whether it's, it could even be you ordered more inventory than you should have. I mean, you need to stay on track. You need to be able to manage what you're working on. Um, because then you can focus on completing them and doing a good job at it. But if you get too far off and you have too many things coming in, it's just not the right thing to do.
hmm So one more time, can you tell our audience what they can find on your website, where they can find your product, and what your website is?
Yeah. So our website's volcanicacoffee.com, VOLCANICACOFFEE.com. So there is where you find out most of all of our coffees are listed there. I did want to say the coffee market is changing, and it's kind of cool. It's an exciting time. We're now moving into more of a new product line of fermented coffees, anaerobic coffees, just basically specially developed coffees that have a lot of flavor. Some of the farmers are putting in, for example, peach or mango in the drying process, which is imparting those flavors into the coffees. There's also the natural process coffee where they're allowing the coffee bean is like a red cherry, and they leave that. Typically, it's removed and then processed, and that's what you see is the bean. But some farmers are leaving the cherry on and allowing that to ferment and dry for up to a week on raised dry beds, and that in itself is giving more flavor. So we're really excited about moving into that because coffee is a lot like the wine industry. Now, people really into wine and all the flavor nuances. Coffee is the same thing. Coffee has a lot of flavor nuances, and now these new natural and anaerobic processed coffees are just taking it to the next level. So we're pretty excited about that.
What advice would you say for small business owners to adapt to new trends in their industry? Like you said about the new flavors and new products that you guys are offering. What advice would you give to small business owners to adapt to new trends in their industries?
Yeah, I think it's important to stay on top of industry trends and your competition. Read what's going on. Read read where the market's going. Every day, on my phone, um, uh, I will look at certain stocks and news, not just the stocks. I look at the news about the stocks. For example, Starbucks, Keurig, the big coffee companies. I follow what's going on with them. Also, the smaller ones, what's going on with them. Just learning, and then just try, getting a sense of where the market's going, where are they going, and just, whether you follow or maybe you don't follow.
Nice. So, our last question to guests on the show is always, what would you like to leave our audience with?
Um, well, not everybody is a coffee aficionado. A lot of people have just drink coffee just to wake up. That's the way it was for me when I first got into the corporate world. But I will tell you that coffee is a beverage that can be enjoyed, and there's a lot of flavors. It's not just for waking up. We have a lot of um, customers that I affectionately call coffee snobs that are really into it. I mean, like really into the brewing process, the temperature, the microns that they grind their beans. It really goes very deep. And I encourage anybody who's just curious. I mean, it's a whole nother world of there. It's very similar to a wine enthusiast. You can be a coffee enthusiast.
Nice. Well, it was really interesting hearing your story of founding Volcanica Coffee. So thank you so much. Unfortunately, we're out of time, but it was great talking with you. So thank you so much.
Great. Thank you, Katie.
Mhm.